I'm Carrington MacDuffie. This is Star Seeds of Freedom. And this is a World War II burial flag with 48 stars. Today's show is another installation in my series, Good Cop, Good Cop.
Welcome to Star Seeds of Freedom. Today we have with us a really interesting guy, someone who is both serious and fun, and I think that's a really great combination in a personality. So I'm happy to have him with us, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. Greg Lawson has spent much of his adult life exploring strange places. From the first Russian colony in Three Saints Bay, Alaska, to the pyramids of Egypt, he has explored paranormal hotspots in over 40 countries. He is a career law enforcement officer with over 32 years of experience, and that's how he wound up on this show, on my Good Cop show. He has worked as a hostage negotiator, a SWAT officer, mental health investigator, and as a sex crimes and homicide detective. Greg has a master's degree in education from Texas State University, where he studied complex adaptive human systems. He also specializes in investigative procedures and teaches these skills to Texas law enforcement officers and paranormal investigators. We're going to hear more about that. Greg is an international lecturer and the author of 5 books on the paranormal: Detecting Paranormal, Diaries of a Paranormalist, How to Be a Paranormal Detective, Roswell, the After Action Report. His latest work, Messages from Mothman, opens new avenues of interpreting premonitions and paranormal experiences. Greg, welcome to the show. Really happy to have you with us today.
Thank you. Glad to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah. So, because this is, free speech. We can talk about whatever we want.
Imagine that.
Yeah, it does exist. Some of us just practice it just as a way of living.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to get your insights into law enforcement, given the madness of things now and where it appears things are going. But I thought maybe it'd be a good place to start to get you to explain to us. Well, you may need to flesh out your bio some for this, because there's a whole lot that isn't included there. I know you have a background in the military, an extensive one as well, and that's not even in your bio. But I was hoping maybe you would explain to us, what is a paranormal detective? What is it, and what does he do? What is he, and what does he do?
Okay. So I had written a book called Zombie Advocacy years ago. And it was a satirical take on the zombie outbreak and what would really happen. Not what all the movies say, but if we had a zombie outbreak, what would really happen? And if you want to know what would really happen, you'd have to buy the book. So there you go. So I had that book, and I got invited into some of these paranormal talks, which was kind of right up my alley, because I've been doing, urban exploration and kind of ghost hunting, paranormal investigations since I was like 5. My brother was he was 12 years older than I, and he would take me out on his motorcycle riding around Central Texas, and we would go to graveyards and abandoned houses and stuff like that, and he would scare the crap out of me. And so I, took that and did that with my friends all through high school, and then when I went in the military, I furthered that. So to answer your question, I was asked to go on to Coast, an evening paranormal talk show, and on Coast they introduced me as, this is Greg Lawson, the paranormal detective. At the time, I was a detective. I was a sex crimes and homicide detective, and they just kind of coined that. That was Dave Schrader did that to me. And people are like, "Oh, so you're the paranormal detective?"
Right.
What level of narcissism and arrogance do you have to have
To be that.
I know. I'm like, I didn't name myself that, but I like it. I just carried on with it.
Mhm.
So, kind of that brand is in the paranormal. You have paranormal enthusiasts that like watching the shows, reading books, and listening to radio and podcasts. Then you have ghost hunters that just randomly kind of go out and go, hey, there's a graveyard over there. Let's go hunting ghosts. They haven't done any research or anything. They're just going over there hunting for something weird. Then you have paranormal investigators that typically rely a lot on what's on the internet. And they'll take whatever it is, whatever the legend is on the internet, and they will go to that place and they will do an investigation using questionable methods of investigation, like using K2 meters to find ghosts and things like that. A K2 meter is something that you actually could buy at Home Depot to look for wires in your wall, and they just take that stuff out and put it in another package and call it a ghost, detector.
So it finds electricity.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the way that most ghost hunters use a K2 meter is there's a lot of different philosophy behind it, a lot of different theory behind it. Some of them say, well, ghosts, when they're there, they interrupt the electromagnetic spectrum. Others say when ghosts are there, they give off electromagnetic spectrum. Other people use them to eliminate the naturally occurring electromagnetic spectrum that's in a house, like wires in a wall or a ballast in a incandescent or a fluorescent light that gives off a ton of EMF. Your computer gives off a ton of EMF, microwave, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for ghosts, if I'm going to use one, I'm going to use it to eliminate the naturally occurring stuff. But as a paranormal investigator, they kind of look at the legend, they go to the location, see what happens. And then I just kind of take it one step further and say a paranormal detective uses industry standards and best practices in order how to do your online and physical research, how to interview people that have experienced these things, and then use the real history along with the legend, along with the evidence that you gather when you go there to make your determination on whether something's happening. The thing that I have found that is best serving to me is I'm not looking for the ghost. I'm looking for what's not there that should be there. Seems like to me that's what I run into more often is a particular thing should be happening and it's not. So why is that?
In a paranormal investigation specifically, then?
Yes.
What's missing? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the paranormal detective thing. I did my ghost hunting, paranormal investigator stuff all through high school, paranormal investigator stuff when I was in the military. I did 4 years Army with 82nd Airborne Division. I did 4 years Navy with I was an operations specialist with I was on Nimitz and a couple of other ships. And then I did 2 years Air Force as an combat arms training and maintenance instructor. Yes, you can do all that. all you have to do is volunteer. And
Yeah,
just
keep
so happened,
keep signing up.
yeah. It's just people like, why would you do that? I'm like, I don't free travel. I don't know. I got over 40 countries. I got to update that in my bio. On the United States dime, and you get a couple of days off everywhere you go. So
right.
There's some really cool places that you can investigate all over the world when you're doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, and you see from a different point of view, I think, right? Than
Very, very much so.
Yeah. And no PTSD for you, despite all those years.
I can neither confirm or deny the amount of PTSD.
I think actually a lot of people have PTSD,
Yeah.
for all kinds of reasons. But
yeah, my license plates would tell you otherwise.
Okay.
So.
Well, so regarding the EMFs, and I mean, a lot of people, when they experience a spirit that's no longer in 3 dimensions, but can still enact something here, it's often through maybe lights blinking, or it does seem to mess with the electricity. And we all do have an electromagnetic field, a very powerful one. We all have our own
Yes.
electrical system, which actually in some near future will be harvesting for our own, electrical needs. We don't really need all these power lines and to be paying power companies, because we're bathed in electricity. It's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my sense is that what we call a ghost would have that as well and be able to use it to interact with what we're experiencing here in what we call three dimensions.
Yeah, there are tons of theories on what happens, and there's a lot of people that take on like the scientific method. There's kind of like the flavor of the month thing that's been happening the last couple of years. It's like, oh, I use the scientific method to do whatever it is I'm doing. No, you don't. It doesn't in the paranormal. It does not work that way. You can use a type of scientific method to do your research, but the scientific method 100% is wholly based on repeatability.
Yes.
And in
Tell the
paranormal,
scientists that,
yeah,
by the way, but
yeah,
anyway.
the paranormal, you're not going to get repeatability. You're not going to be able to go someplace, do a certain thing, and that paranormal incident happen again, or event or experience or whatever. It's not going to happen the same way. So
Well, that tells you something about, what we call science in the situation that we're in here. The limitations of that situation make it possible to repeat an experiment, right? There,
right.
those limitations are not available elsewhere.
Yeah, and when you're talking about another dimension or another time slip kind of thing or
Hmm.
whatever, things just don't line up to where it works for you that way.
No,
And when you're using the scientific method and you're using naturally occurring metrics and measurements, um, well, how is that paranormal? That's normal.
yeah, that's
That's
normal.
not how are you detecting paranormal out
Right,
of using normal stuff? And that's where I
right.
come up with, okay, if you're using normal things and something is not working out right, that's the paranormal thing, the thing that,
Mm.
it's not equaling correctly. That's why I think it's so important that we reach out and use mediums and intuits and anybody that has some other avenue of communication or ability that can bring us a different perspective. People ask me, not all the time, but I've been asked many times. So when you were working a crime scene or you were working a big case, did you ever use a medium? And my answer is yes. You have to be very careful about the way you do that.
Hmm.
You will be completely ostracized by the people that you work with in law enforcement if you bring a medium in.
Yeah.
But my answer to that is I have no clue of what they do. I don't know if their stuff is magical, spiritual. I have no idea.
Hmm.
But I do know one thing about mediums and psychics and people who have high intuition. They think completely different than I do. Therefore, they will have a different perspective on my case, and they will illuminate things that I would not have thought of. So it could be just a psychological side of it that they're opening these doors on things that I didn't think about.
Hmm.
And there's a whole bunch of cops out there that are so narrow-minded, narcissistic, sociopathic that they will not even open their mind up to getting somebody else's opinion. When they take a snapshot of this crime, oftentimes they'll in their mind it's like, oh, I know what happened.
Hmm.
And then they build their case toward their opinion as opposed to following the evidence.
Well,
So,
and isn't that, I mean, we see that a lot in the scientific method in the sciences
oh yeah,
too. I mean, that's really common. So it's not just policemen who are oriented toward having a foregone conclusion in their process,
absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
with an attachment to a certain outcome. But so for yourself, I mean, are you able, it sounds like you can draw on the talents of others, or because I do think it is a talent, and I've known people who do have that intuitive ability who can sense or communicate, with people who aren't actually there. And I've certainly experienced that. I've communicated with people who have died. So and it's different from imagining something or fantasizing about something, or it's a very different sense. It feels different. It's hard to explain. It doesn't it doesn't come to you as information in the same kind of way. It's recognizably separate. So when you do have that experience, you're like, oh, I see, and you can't put it into words very well because it may not be exactly visual, and that's the thing. It's not limited to our five senses. That's what you just said. That's the whole thing. It isn't limited to our five senses, so we can't really describe it with our five senses,
Mm-mm.
and yet we do sense it, some of us. So how do you then how do you introduce that into your investigation if there's already a prejudice against it and you have to make it make your case believable, or maybe you're running the case so it's not, you don't have to convince anyone. I
So
don't know how that works.
So things have changed a little bit in law enforcement in the last few years, as far as disclosure and open records and that sort of stuff. Um, when I was working as a detective, you could exclude information that was not germane, completely related to the case. So you didn't have to record everything and put everything in your case jacket, put everything into evidence. You didn't have to do that. You wanted to when it was related to the case.
So you had that
All right.
discretion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the discretion was, um, for instance, uh, trying to think of a good way. You're walking down the street and you're at a crime scene. You're walking down the street and somebody says, I thought I saw last night there was a guy on a red bicycle over there. And that guy, I mean, you're just kind of overwhelmed. Stuff's going on. You go, okay, well, I'll look into that. So, um, you hear a bunch of stuff from different people, and then you go to the neighborhood, you canvass the neighborhood, you get everybody that is willing to cooperate to turn over their security footage from their houses or their businesses, as far as camera footage. And sure enough, you see a little red bike go by with this guy on it that has an identifiable patch on the back of his jacket. You know who that guy is. You wouldn't necessarily have to say, hey, there was this random guy walking down the street told me there was a red bicycle. Today, you would need to do that. They've passed some laws now, a Brady law. Anything that's germane, anything that is directly related to the case has to be included for discovery, for anything that would be exculpatory toward the suspect, anything that could help the suspect get out of the case has to be included. And that's something that law enforcement did up until maybe a decade ago, is if it didn't help convict the guy,
Oh,
they
I
wouldn't
see.
include it in there,
Right,
which is
right.
really shady.
Yeah.
Very, the optics on that is like, yeah, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's kind
So
of,
now,
yeah.
now it's called Brady,
Yeah.
and Michael Myers Act, the Michael Morton Act, requires all that to go in there. The Michael Morton Act was right here in Texas, and there was a prosecutor that excluded a whole bunch of exculpatory stuff for this guy who they accused of killing his wife. He went to prison for, I want to say, a decade or
Oh,
2 decades.
oh, God.
And guess what? He didn't kill her. Yeah, and this prosecutor, anyway, he had to answer for that, and that's
Yeah.
the Michael Morton Act. So
Yeah, I see.
all of that stuff has to go in now. So today,
Yeah.
if I were to use a medium or someone outside the normal investigative procedure, all of that stuff has to be recorded. Everybody that I talk to, you need to try to identify the person and get contact information for them. Like the guy, hey, there's a bicycle down there, going by. Hey, man, can I get your name and a phone number real quick? I'll be contacting you here in a couple of weeks. And if the guy's willing to do it, then that's great. You put that in your report. All of that stuff has to go in there.
And has that made a big difference to the job from the point of view of getting your conviction? Has it made it, I mean,
I
obviously more fair, but
Yeah, I don't know. Those studies will probably come out in another decade or so to see if it
right,
actually did anything.
right.
But it does um, make some cops not want to talk to people, so they don't have to get their information
Oh,
and have to, just because it's kind of a pain in the butt,
I'm
you know.
sure writing up all the reports,
Yeah,
entering all that, just the data entry alone sounds like it could be a nightmare.
yeah, and so all of that, there was a case here in Austin called the Yogurt Shop murders that happened back in the 90s where four teenage girls were murdered. No telling what else happened to them prior to their murder. And then the yogurt shop was caught on fire and they burned them all. And it was a horrible thing.
Phew, yeah.
And uh, in that case, over the time span that they investigated it, they had over 42 people, 42, come forward and say they did it.
Oh,
So you have a
uh,
murder case that has to do with four teenage girls. You're going to have to interview and investigate all of the relationships with those teenage girls. You're going to have
mhm.
to interview all the relationships with the owners of the building, as many of the consumers that came in, the customers that came in. And then wherever else that physical evidence takes you, now you have knuckleheads coming forward saying, I did it. Now you have to open up a new case and investigate that completely.
Oh.
So it is an absolute nightmare in Austin Police Department. You can't fault people for what they don't know, but it was a horrible, horrible job.
So,
Um,
hmm,
and
yeah. And people who are claiming that they did it generally, they want to have done it. Presumably, they wish they were some kind of big time killer dude, I guess.
you know,
Yeah.
um, get in the news, become famous,
Yeah,
just whatever
for
the
sure.
the
Fame is a big, for some reason
incredible.
people, yeah, for some reason people want to be famous. I'm not sure why they think it's so great, but um so so from your point of view though, when you have brought in a medium, and okay, so first of all, let me start here. What makes when do you determine that the investigation is a paranormal one or involves the paranormal? What sorts of things have you run across that make you have to go down that road?
So I keep criminal investigations completely separate from the paranormal investigations.
Hmm,
I have never worked a criminal case where I had a paranormal spin on it.
I see.
Um, I was also when you mentioned that I was with SWAT and a hostage negotiator. The part of that hostage negotiation part was I was part of what's called the mental health unit and the critical incident team, which we wear plain clothes. We're hostage negotiators, suicide mediators, and then we serve mental health warrants, commitments, and then whenever anybody is having a mental uh, some sort of psychological trauma or problem, they'll call us. The regular cops will get there, stabilize the situation, then call us. We will go in and then interview these folks. If they're having a psychotic episode, then we'll take them to the appropriate facility.
Hmm.
So in that, for 2 years, I interviewed um, probably 80 people that were abducted by aliens, people that have um, implants put into them. We never found the implants, but
Hmm.
have implants put into them, uh, you know, listening devices inside them, inside their pets, which
Right.
horrible things can happen to the pets when somebody has a delusion that
Uh,
there's a CIA robot inside the pet. It's
uh,
horrible.
Trying to get
And
it
so,
out. Yeah.
yeah, it's just horrible.
Yeah.
So I have that on the criminal side. I do complete criminal investigation. Once the criminal investigation is completely done and there's no other place to go, and I haven't solved the case, that's when I step out and talk to a medium and say, hey, you get any feelings? What do you think? That sort of thing. In a couple of cases, I actually took them driving around, and I would tell them, I'm going to take you to 5 locations. We're going to go there, get out. I'm not going to tell you anything. You do whatever you do. Then we'll go to the next location. Possibly one of the 5 locations is a crime scene or located with a crime, and maybe they're not. And so I would take people around like that, and we would do that. We never solved a case out of that, but I got additional information to follow up on based on, like I said before, a medium's way of thinking outside of the box that I'm thinking in.
Yes, right. So now I've had certainly experiences where a medium has been able to be very accurate with information, the whole thing of like that they didn't know anything about, they couldn't have known anything about. Clearly, there are people who have intuitive powers. There's, to me, no question about that. But, and personally, I've seen a UFO. I mean, that doesn't seem, at this point, obviously, that's coming out of the closet, right? That's been hidden for a really long time, and I think a tremendous amount of money has been spent keeping it hidden.
A lot.
I think a lot of our tax dollars have gone to keeping that hidden from us.
Sure.
But that's changing. And I know many people who've seen strange things and strange lights, and some of them clearly are also, if you ask me, have been ours. You know, maybe we've done some reverse engineering, all of that. So that when you've spoken to people who claim to have been abducted and or that they have implants which you can't find, does it seem to you that every single one of those is untrue, or that some are true, or that is there a lot of delusion out there? What's your experience been with that?
Well, I have an example of that. So first off, I can monitor you. I don't need to put an implant in you.
Right.
I can monitor. I mean,
Yeah, you can see
given
this
the
from outer
equipment,
space, right?
yeah, yeah. Given the equipment, um, uh, people fantasize a lot and go, okay, yeah, the government's lying to us. The government's lying to us. You can accuse anybody of anything if you don't have any actual evidence that this is happening.
Right.
Well, I have collected a ton of evidence of the government lying. That's their official statement. They say it, and then they typically just make it go away.
Yeah.
And the mainstream media goes right along with it. They never call them on it. They never have them recant. They never have them come back in and explain anything.
Yeah.
They just move on to the next story, right?
Yeah.
They're just moving
Yeah. No,
the
there's no
news
accountability
feed
there.
forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in Roswell, the after action report, I pulled a lot of that stuff. I use a technique that the FBI came up with, which is forensic statement analysis. And so I use the government's way of proving that you're lying against themselves.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, okay, well, you tell me if a person's doing this, they need to go to prison. Well, you're doing this.
Oh, yeah.
So what do we do with you now? Well, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with all of these things. So when I'm trying to get a good example is actually this is what I was in high school. I was an assistant manager at Pizza Hut when I was 17. Making that money, I'm telling you. And
well, you have to do something at 17.
Oh man, I was making good money. Oh, I was just freaking rolling in it.
Uh-huh.
And so there was this girl that we had hired. She was a couple of years older than me. She was probably 20. And I was standing in the prep area. If you're thinking about a Pizza Hut, you got the dining area, you got the counter, then you have the ovens, and then the prep area. I'm standing between the ovens and the prep area. And I see this girl walking up to me, and she looks very strange. She's looking really weird at me. And I'm looking at her, and she walks up, and this is pre the movie Poltergeist. This is before Poltergeist. She walks up to me and she grabs a hold of my hands and she goes, and it was really uncomfortable and really weird. She goes, "They're here," like that. And I'm standing there and I look down and she's peeing on herself.
Oh.
She just pee is just coming out of her shoes, you know? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
come on, I'm trying to get her to move. And now she's just completely locked up, has this face of terror. You know, she's just
Wow.
like this, and I can't get her to move. And I'm trying to get her to move, and there's customers coming over to the cash register trying to check out, and the hostess that's at there is looking at me. I'm like, just take care of them. And I'm going, come on, come on, come on. She won't move. So it seemed like it was like 30 minutes, but it was probably only like 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's
And
still
then
a
she
long
started,
time.
oh, it was a long time. She started relaxing a little bit and kind of looked real groggy. And I was like, come on, come on. And she starts kind of shuffling. And I take her to the back. We had a little smoke area. We could smoke inside the restaurant back then. And I sit her down there, which wasn't a good idea because she had just peed on herself. She ruined that chair. But anyway, I go back out. I grab a mop and I clean up that. I throw the mop head away. Go back, and she's trying to light her cigarette. I help her light her cigarette. She's sitting there, and I'm like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" She goes, "It doesn't happen that often, but when it does, they do all kinds of horrible things to me." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Her experience while she was standing in front of me was she was taken out of her body, taken to the spaceship, and they did all kinds of probing and prodding on her and tortured her on the spaceship, and then returned her to her body, and then there she is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I called my general manager and I said, "Hey, this is what just happened." He's like, "Get her to the hospital. We'll pay for whatever, you know." So they sent her to the hospital. They set her up. She goes home. They set her up a couple of weeks later for an MRI. She gets her MRI and she's got a big scar on her brain, and they diagnose her with epilepsy. And the question is, now you and I sitting here in the United States and assuming that we're logical and we have critical thinking and we know a little bit about medicine, we could say that is signs and symptoms of epilepsy, and that is what is possibly causing these delusions and hallucinations while this is happening to her. And she could have been born or suffered a fall or something else and created this scar on her brain that causes this electrical arcing that causes the epilepsy. Or she gets abducted, and the torture that she goes through, the damage that she has in her body is a sign in that scarring, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
Now, so a logical person is going to say it's just medical. She had an issue, but I always just throw in there, what if?
Yeah.
What if it's this other thing? And that's kind of you mentioned my book, Messages from Mothman. I had a completely different idea of what I was going to write when I started that book.
Huh.
And at the end of the book, really the book is about what if. And let me explain. I was raised Catholic, and I'm a recovering Catholic now. But all of those things that I learned are part of who I am. My values, assumptions, beliefs, and expectations are all built in that foundation of who I am today. And in typical Christianity, Judaism, Islam, nothing about the devil, nothing about spiritual, trust in the word, and that's it. Don't, don't let things distract you, because, Christians will say it's the devil, it's Satan doing this, is trying to get you all online. But what if we went through our day and instead of doing the Christian thing, which is ignoring any kind of synchronicity or anything unusual. You look at it, you go, wow, it's weird. Anyway, I got to go pay my bills. I
Right.
go.
Right.
I don't follow up on it. What if we assign meaning to all the synchronicities and unusual things that happen during the day and made something out of our lives using those things? How different would you be? How how
Absolutely.
how how open-minded could you be to talk with other people and experience other cultures or societies, or you know um, maybe those are little red flags, little signs that we're supposed to follow and add meaning to our life. I know that's a little Buddhist
Oh no,
on there,
nothing wrong with a little
it's
Buddhist. Maybe it seems
yeah,
coming from a Catholic background that that's extreme, but it's truly not. And I think synchronicities are there. They're just indications that your intuition has come online, and we're not. That if you think we're just in a linear time frame in a 3D universe and that's all there is, then a synchronicity is going to seem like a irrelevancy. But if you start looking at it from a different point of view, you see that more quantum, that's the word everyone's throwing around,
yeah,
version of events, that everything is contained within everything else. Just like your cell, every cell in your body contains all of the information of the whole body, right? That's the
right,
holistic view of the universe. And then the synchronicities start to make a whole lot of sense, and you can get a lot of meaning and information from them. Certainly, I mean, I've known people who've claimed to have been abducted, and it depends how closely you listen to their story and how open-minded you are. I have no doubt that that's happened. Frankly, for myself, it hasn't happened to me, but I've known at least one exceedingly trustworthy person who was completely not deluded, and it's sort of like what I was saying, if when I've communicated, say, with my father, who died some while ago, but very clearly, I mean, I know when he's in the room. I just know where exactly he is, how he's sitting. I don't visually see him, but I know where he is, and I know what he's telling me, and I know why he's there. And it's a very different sense from the other senses. And I've also had memories of what people call past lives. And they're past if you look at things, in a linear sense, right? And my point about that is only that those, what we call memories, have a very different feeling from a dream that you have at night or a fantasy that you may have, a projection. It feels like a memory where, when you remember something, you go, oh yeah, oh yeah. And it sort of dawns on you, when a memory comes to you. It's different from reminiscing when a memory first shows up, and it feels more like that. And it's a very different part of the brain. And I guess you could say, well, the brain is, maybe it's malfunctioning or whatever. Yeah, that doesn't really answer it. So I think there's probably a lot of delusion, and then there's some real experiences. When I think of my friend who, he felt he was abducted, and the way they probed him was something that went through the palm of his hand and also left a couple of marks on him that were very strange and had come out of nowhere. I, Again, like you said, if you try to prove it
right,
within our terms, it's not going to work really.
no,
And
no.
so I wonder also, we have CGI, there's all these ways to deceive about what's really happening.
It is incredible right now as far as what people can falsify,
It's crazy, isn't it?
and it's just like, you see stuff. People send me a video all the time. Hey, look at this. Look at this. It's like, yeah, that's cool. What do you think? I don't think anything. I wasn't there.
Yeah,
I don't have
exactly.
the software to download that to see if it's been manipulated. So it's just what it is, and
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell them about that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and people are doing their best, and it's pretty amazing stuff. There's some amazing stuff out there. I really love it, but they're really doing their best to trick people, and it's
oh
the
yeah.
old hoaxers of throwing the hubcaps up in the air, and people
Yeah.
wrote books about hubcaps that were flying through the air. So
Right.
nowadays, you basically just have to shrug your shoulders. It's like, I don't know what that
Yeah,
is.
it's really, I mean, but I think this is where we're called on to bring in our higher faculties and our ability to discern that is not just based on the evidence that's presented to us, but a higher sense, And until we're really tuned into that, that can easily be doubted and it can easily
Right.
be wrong. And what you're saying about hoaxes is really relevant too. I mean, just producing this show, and from being in public, um, it's amazing how the responses that you get from people, a lot of people who respond are trying to catch you somehow, trying to twist what you're doing and turn it into something else and turn it into a hoax, or it's just very
Oh yeah.
strange. There's a lot of trickster energy out there.
I was on a guy's show. I've been on his show a few times, and he is has his show is very, very much religion based. And we were talking about law enforcement, and I said, I asked him, I said, you've heard it, profiling's illegal, right? And he goes, yeah. I said, no, it's not. That's all cops do is profile.
I
That's
would,
what they do when they're looking for criminals. You can't racially profile, but I profile all day long. Oh my God. The amount of emails and
oh.
responses out of that was I was the fascist,
Yes.
just these people are idiots, man.
Right, I know. Well,
Like,
people don't have any
how,
idea. People are very
yeah,
quick to judge, and they
yeah.
love to judge. People love to judge. You
How
know.
can you, how do you catch a criminal if you don't profile their behavior?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Okay,
Isn't
so
knuckleheads.
yeah, okay, so talk about that I mean, we could talk for hours, and I am going to get to a serious law enforcement question, and this is kind of serious. How does profiling work? I mean, um, I, you, ha- well, go ahead. It's art. It's your typing. You have to, right? Because,
Yeah, that's what law enforcement does. So um let's go the basic patrol officer. He gets in a car, he drives to a neighborhood, he drives around that neighborhood. Part of what he's doing is he's doing what these same people that I was talking about, I was disparaging a while ago. They're the same people that think there's such thing as crime prevention.
oh,
They don't understand. It's called
okay,
crime displacement. Where
okay,
the cop is not preventing crime by being where he is. He's
right,
displacing the crime to where he's not.
right,
If there's somebody hell bent on breaking into a car, they're going to go, oh, there's a cop over there. Let's go 2 blocks over here, break this window, and take this stuff out.
right,
It's
right.
crime displacement.
Okay,
So people that think they know what they're doing and think that they don't know what they're talking about is what really dilutes what's happening. So a patrol officer is out there driving around. He's trying to be seen. So in theory, you have the crime, prevention, which is actually just displacement.
mm-hmm,
Um, the idea is to make contact with people in the neighborhood. Maybe they'll share information of problems in the neighborhood, and to look for suspicious persons in suspicious places.
right,
That's what you do.
yeah,
The other thing is you're waiting to get a call from dispatch to go respond to a call in your district, right? So while you're driving around, you're looking for people uh, that are behaving not the way you should behave in a place that they shouldn't be. So, for
mm,
instance, you're driving by a Harley Davidson dealership parking lot, and all the motorcycles are parked outside because they're going to have an event the following day, and they left the motorcycles out there. And it's midnight, and there's a guy walking around, and when you drive by, he squats down behind the motorcycle.
okay,
Suspicious person, suspicious places,
yeah,
and you go over there and you do that. So that's a really overt way to look at it. But everything from I used to teach a class It's called Characteristics of an Armed Person. And there's certain postures that people have that are carrying a gun.
Yes.
And it's very, very common because there's just not that many different ways you're going to carry a gun and not compensate for that bulge or that uncomfortable thing that's stuck in your pants. There's certain ways people are going to walk and stand and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go up and talk to people, you're looking for these types of characteristics. You're looking for body language, eye contact, your response for behavior. You don't have any weapons on you, do you? Any weapons? Yeah, you got weapons on you. I ask a very easy question. Do you have any weapons on you? It's either yes or no.
Yeah.
And you got to look at me and go,
what?
Weapons? Yeah, it's like you don't have to be a genius to figure out how people behave.
Sure.
And it's like, oh, he searched me. It was an illegal search. I wasn't doing anything. I'm like, yeah, I can articulate. You are a suspicious person in a suspicious place with a suspicious type behavior in a suspicious posture with suspicious answers to my questions.
Yeah, his response. Okay. So now I've also heard that anytime a person is confronted by a cop or in a conversation with a cop, they instantly feel guilty and blush and get nervous just because there's an assumption of your own guilt because that's what was been put over us, but been put on us and been put over for so long. Have you found that to be the case?
For some people, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for some people.
Mm-hmm.
I was working a homicide one time, and I had this guy in the interview room, call it in the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was a non-custodial interview. So I asked him if he would come in and talk to me. He agreed. He comes in, he sits down, and we have this conversation. It's about a 2-hour long conversation. Most people would say, well, did you read him his rights? And my answer is no, I didn't. I don't have to.
You didn't
yes, you
arrest
do,
him.
Miranda. That's right. I didn't arrest him. It's a non-custodial interview. He comes in, and I'll tell him, no matter what you tell me today, I'm not arresting you right here.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna arrest you today. I'm not saying I'm not going to go arrest you tomorrow. SWAT team's going to be, banging on your door.
Right.
But right now, this is, I respect your time and I appreciate you coming in and talking to me. So talking to this guy, an hour into it, he's the suspect. He killed this girl. He murdered this girl and burned her body. An hour and a half into it, I'm thinking, I don't want to release this guy. I need to do something here.
Yeah.
So I really confront him on what he was telling me and the way he was telling me. He was lying to me the whole time, not about killing the girl. He was lying about him being there in his situation because he had a brick of weed in his car and he didn't want me to go in and look at his car.
Oh, he was on a whole other tangent.
So all these questions I was asking him about the murder, he was being deceptive, and I thought he was related to the murder. He was not related to the murder at all.
Oh.
But the signs and of his deception was coming out all over the place, but I was equating it to the wrong crime.
So how did that conclude? You had to let him go after the 2 hours because.
Oh yeah, I let it go. And later, there was other things I had to check through to figure out his alibi, and that all worked out. There was an earring that was missing from the girl, and he had it on him.
Oh.
Come to find out, she had like 10 of these earrings. Oh. It was just one of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so later, after it was all over with, I confronted him. I was like, this is after the funeral. Yeah, this is weeks later, I was like, hey, man, I know you didn't do this. I'm going to ask you to help me. Um, when I ask you these things and you responded this way, I thought I was sitting there with a murderer. I thought we got in my car and we went driving around. And I'm thinking, I got the murderer sitting right next to me. And he looks down, he goes, no, man, I had weed in the car. I didn't want you to get in my car. And I'm like, oh, wow, wow. And he goes, yeah, man, that I was sitting there. I was trying to cooperate. I was trying to do this. But I didn't want you to say, hey, can I look in your car? So he lied about having the car there. The whole deal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cross purposes.
Yeah. The real guy that killed the girl actually got his car detailed multiple times while I was doing all this other stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. While I was interviewing everybody else, he was out taking care of all the evidence.
Yeah. Right. So back for just a moment to where, that you can tell if someone is armed or not. I've been working out at an indoor range and, with the computer targets that you can, a wide range of stuff that you can choose from, moving targets. And one of them is, shoot, don't shoot, as to whether the person's armed or not. And that's been a really, of all the different exercises, whatever you call it, that you can do, that one's really interesting because it's hard to tell until you really get a bead on what that does look like. And I haven't, obviously been confronting that in person, but a person holds a cell phone, they look down, they're like this. You're not going to hold a gun like this. There's certain obvious things that I can tell, but I'm just learning, how does a person hold a gun when they're actually planning to do something with it? And it's good. It's just a target because, my distinction rate, my ability to distinguish is in progress. Let's just say.
Yeah, it's very difficult. So, I years ago I was the range master for our agency, and we have, I don't know, 1,400 employees, something like that. I did, whenever you go to the range, you shoot every time you go to the range, right? I mean, that's why you go to the range, you go shoot. And that's what happens with cops. You go out there and you go shooting. So we have an 8-hour class, and it's a lot of shooting in it. And the last scenario, the last evolution that we do, or that we did, was a particular evolution where you had to use a barricade and then step around and confront the person. And so we've been shooting all day long, and out of, I don't know, 1,000 people, there was probably 20 people that didn't shoot the good guy.
Yeah.
So, and it's because there is a fundamental error in the way that we train. So I'd bring all these cops up there, and they'd have to run down to the berm, which is like 25 yards.
Yeah.
And then step around and around this barricade, and there's a target there.
Uh-huh.
And they would see the gun and shoot. And then go to the next one, see the gun and shoot. Go to the next one, see the gun and shoot. See the gun and shoot. Okay, that's it. And then I would tell them, all right, the rest of your ammo, just shoot into the berm right there. So they'd shoot another 10 rounds off into the berm, holster, come back, and do the next one. The cops are listening to all the shooting. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to go down there and shoot a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So they get a preconceived notion of what they're going to do. They go down there and everybody shoots, right? Then I take them back through. It's a cop in a plain clothes. He's got a badge and handcuffs and everything on his belt.
Yeah.
His gun is up here, and everybody's just looking for the gun.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things. Even the one cop, he's standing there. He's got his gun down low. He's got his badge around his chest. That badge was full of holes.
Oh.
Because people are just seeing the gun and shooting center mass.
Right.
So they're killing all the cops. I had 4 cops up there. There wasn't any bad guys at all. almost 1,000 officers went through that, and probably about 20 of them didn't shoot.
Because
And
those
so,
were able to see the badge rather than only see the gun.
yeah, and when we're stressed out, we go we go reptilian brain. We go to our midbrain when we're real stressed out, and we're typically not trained in midbrain. Typically, when we train in a classroom environment,
Yeah.
and all of that encoding of those memories will go into your cortex, and under stress, the blood and activity is limited to your cortex. It goes midbrain,
Yeah.
fight or flight.
Yeah.
And guess what? You don't train in midbrain unless you've been in the military or unless you've been through some very stressful law enforcement training, which is not done very often.
And why is that?
PTSD.
Oh, because
People, you mentioned that, and I've said it plenty of times. People are like, man, you've done this, you must have PTSD. I said, I don't have PTSD. I give it.
mhm. in the train in the training with the training then.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's part of that survival side of it, is how do we get our training and be competent and put it in our brain, the brain that we use when we're scared out of our minds.
Yeah, because well, like the girl in the Pizza Hut, I mean, one of the reactions is to just freeze, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a deer in the headlights reaction that'll get you killed.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think another one would be just like pow, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Aside from those two, uh, I guess, yeah, a small percentage of people can
Yeah.
still discern.
Back in the 80s and 90s, when they first started talking about stress inoculation, just like getting a viral inoculation, you can do a stress inoculation, which is,
Hmm.
back in the 80s and 90s, was we need to get your heart rate up and your breathing up and then get you to do complex motor skills. So they'd have you run around the academy, run a certain amount, do something, and then have to come in and perform a certain task. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's how we get midbrain training. That is not how we do it.
Yeah, that sounds
That
like exercise, not
Yeah,
fear.
physical stress is different than mental stress. So you have to get the person very uncomfortable, outside of their comfort zone, and then instill that training while you're there. And that training will slowly wane away, and then you got to bring them back there again.
Hmm.
And you do too much of that on individuals, it can be a real problem. And that's the thing about law enforcement, is it's much better to not do that kind of training for liability reasons,
Right. Yeah.
because those individuals, we just in law enforcement, we just kind of cross our fingers. I hope they're going to be okay.
Okay.
I'm going to train them as best I can, but I don't want
Yeah.
to overtrain them to where they're going to be really aggressive.
Yeah.
And also where they, develop a tick, and all of a sudden they're, you know,
So how do you bring
we've
on
had,
that stress then? Can you talk about
you,
that?
yeah, you have to be really, um, you have to be very aware of the individual, because you can't treat everybody the same way.
Hmm.
All the cops are different. You have to train them all differently based on their, abilities. So, for instance, I would do something like this. We would talk about how we're going to practice an evolution, a shooting drill. And let's say you have 4 bad guy targets. The third target's a good guy, so you got to do 2 shots, 2 shots, skip a target, 2 shots. That's all I'm going to get you to do.
Hmm.
That's all I want you to do. But that's complex motor skills, drawing the weapon. If you have a on-off switch, a safety switch on your gun, you're going to have to turn it on. You're going to have to bring it up. Hopefully you bring it up to your eye and you don't bring your head down to the sights.
Right.
So you got to work on that.
Yeah.
Trigger control, the whole bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all we're going to do. And I get you to stand 10 feet from these targets. I stand behind you. And I say, all right, is your gun ready? And you say yes. Say, all right, you sure it's loaded? Yes. While I'm doing that, I kind of push you forward a little bit and go, okay, hold on. How loose is your belt? And I mess with your belt a little bit, but while I'm doing that, I'm going to take your magazine out of your gun.
I see.
And then I say, all right, are you ready? Fire. Oh, go, come on. And you draw the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm up. You fire it one time, it gets slide lock, and then you're messing with it.
Right.
And I'm yelling at you the whole time. Jesus Christ, how hard is this? All you got to do is reload it. Reload your weapon. And I'm adding this really, and I call you, are you incompetent? You shouldn't even be on the range. What are you doing here? Why are you a cop?
Mm-hmm.
And I find the thing that really bothers you. And then I start hitting that.
Mm-hmm.
And get you really pissed off at me, very frustrated. And then I pull you off. Look, man, clear your weapon. Give me your bullets. Go over there and sit down and think about it. Think about what you just did. I mean, I don't even know where I should probably just send you back to your supervisor and send you home for the day. He's pissed. He's in midbrain. He's there.
Right.
Now I'll bring him back. Say, are you going to be able to do it this time? Can you prove to me you can do it? It's very uncomfortable, especially on my side, because I don't know whether they're going to shoot me or not. It's like,
well, fortunately you unloaded their gun. But so one of my questions right away is, does any of the officers, if you do that method where you pull the magazine after you're messing with their belt, pull and notice that their gun is not loaded because it's not the right weight, like it's not heavy like it should be?
So sometimes it depends on what magazine it is, whether I will pull it all the way out, like some Glocks, some of the SIGs, a lot of the H&Ks, their magazines will hang because the way that the magazine is inserted, the next round that's there has gone forward a little bit, creating a little bit of tension. Some Glock magazines won't drop anyway. If it's any kind of European magazine, it's not designed to drop. It won't drop freely. You have to actually pull it out.
Right.
So sometimes if it's like that, I will just hit the magazine release.
Yeah.
So when they pull it up and go to fire, it will be out of battery and it won't load. Or like the SIG magazine will just slide straight out. Sometimes the Glock mags will slide out. And so it just depends what posture and what kind of weapon that they're using on how I will do that.
Yeah.
And I give everybody hugs afterwards and go, I love you. You're doing great.
Yeah.
I wanted to get you into as close to I want to kill you. I have to use lethal force and somebody's trying to kill me and get you to work in that environment for 15 or 20 minutes and then let you take a break.
Where you're fully escalated and incredibly stressed out. You've been abused. Mentally abused, basically, right? That's mental abuse. So
then and then everybody goes through that and everybody's over there bitching about what just happened. I can't believe this happened. And then we relax a little bit. But then when I take you into the next scenario, it has to be something separate because they know the game now.
Yeah,
they
know
I'm
the
just
game.
Jacking one.
Yeah, and they can stand up to it.
Yeah, some of the people I can continue with that all day long just because they can't get over with me messing with them.
Right.
But some of them adapt very quickly. And so I got to get them back into midbrain to do that. But like I said, that's not necessarily healthy. I did competition skydiving for about 18 years. And the day that I quit skydiving was the day when I jumped, my blood pressure was probably 110/70 and my pulse rate never got above 65. I'm like, I'm very dangerous at this. I need to stop doing this because I'm too comfortable.
Too comfortable, right. You're not on edge enough to be able to save yourself if you need to.
Yeah, I mean, it's important that you're comfortable, but it needs to be really fun, and that fun just kind of went away. I've learned that I get very competent in something, and then I'll start teaching it,
Hmm.
and I can only do it for a couple of years, and then all right, I'm done. It's no fun for me anymore.
Yeah,
So
I've
then I
heard
have
that
to.
about small plane piloting too, where a guy I knew who was a pilot realized, and he was just doing it recreationally, but for a long time and owned different planes, and then he realized he was just kind of like he was being almost lackadaisical about it, and realized that
Mhm.
wasn't safe. He
Nope.
was just so used to it, and he stopped.
Yep.
He just stopped. And I don't, my limited experience at the range is, I noticed that even because I'm just exploring, just moving at whatever level I can be at. I'm certainly not planning to be in law enforcement, but just even if the target's moving a certain way and I'm trying to follow it, I immediately start, not always, but you start to want to grab the gun and shoot the gun. Instead of just pulling the trigger, you want to shoot it.
Oh yeah.
And that's part of that reaction. And then forget it. You're not going to hit anything.
Yep.
And it's so instinctual. And to control that instinct, even on that level, it just takes so much practice and constant presence of mind. So, well, that's really interesting about the training, and the PTSD comes from you. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. Yeah.
Oh no. So, well, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is that given that it looks to me like we may wind up with martial law, that may be what it comes down to,
Yeah.
uh, um, just because of the incursion, the invasion across our borders, and we may be, I think we're looking at a treasury bond default at the there's just a lot of stuff that's really coming to a head. And because we can't correct the criminality given the justice system that we have, the legal system, because it's completely infiltrated, we may wind up with martial law because we may wind up with civil unrest, especially in the cities, the larger cities, the blue cities. That's just what it looks like
Sure.
to me.
Yeah. Sure.
So, um, and that would be a good thing, the only way across. Good thing from that point of view. What role does law enforcement play in this? Because there's a military, and you've served in both. There's the military, there's different branches of law enforcement. How does that come together? And especially given that we know a lot of law enforcement, like all of our institutions, has been infiltrated by the deep state, and there's great guys, good guys, guys like you, and then there's guys who've been corrupted. So what does that look like? Can you speak about that at all? What your insights about
Sure.
that?
Yeah. So the thing that I've learned in my level of law enforcement, which is county level law enforcement, the county I work for has over 1 million people in it. So it would be, considered one of the larger agencies in Texas. And the biggest thing that we have is just incompetence. It's not criminality. I know a few
Mm,
cops that I'm like, yeah, this guy is just a matter of time before he gets caught. Um,
mm,
but it's typically lack of training, lack of drive on the cops' part. They just don't want to train. They just want a job that they can have their insurance and their retirement, and they just want to show up, get some lunch, do a couple of things, and go home. They don't want any trouble. They don't want any of that. Um,
mm.
you have to think about the amount of cases that we see a year of cops doing criminal stuff. When you're talking about, let's say, 1 million cops in the United States, and you see 12 cases a year, 20 cases a year, 40 cases a year, 100 cases a year, that's nothing considering how many people you've employed as cops that are potentially making catastrophic errors, either through bad judgment, poor tactics, or the very unusual, it's a crime and I'm going to do it anyway. And that's pretty low.
Yeah.
People argue with that all day long, but I'm telling you, nobody hates a bad cop more than a decent cop. And people say, "Oh, well, Greg, you were one of the good ones." Yeah, with all the rest, our bad
Right.
ones are less than 1%. Our incompetent ones are probably at 8 to 10%.
Uh-huh.
And that would people that are physically incapable of doing what they need to do.
Right.
Being able to save somebody's life, being able to climb over a fence, being able to run 50 yards, being able to do that.
Yeah.
It's incompetence. So in an area like I'm in or was in, we don't have that many people to do anything. So, let's say you have 1 million people in the county. You have 400 patrol deputies.
Right. Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Yeah. Right.
You know what they're going to do? They're going to deploy those deputies to infrastructure, to protect infrastructure. They're not going to send those deputies out to quell riots and stuff like that. How, the old theory of one riot, one ranger, that's all we need. We just need one ranger to take care of the riot. Well, yeah, when we could kill everybody that we wanted to. Right. Nowadays, there's a riot. There's nothing you can do. Call in the National Guard. Okay, well, how long is it going to take them to mobilize?
Right.
When they get there, what do you want them to do?
Well, I guess, yeah. So I guess that's the question. And speaking to the less than 1% or so, and that whole picture, I think the body cams, it seems like, have done a lot for the police because it shows what police really are doing. They're not going around and screwing with people for the most part, No,
I'm
and there's
all
the
for
proof.
body cameras. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It seems like it's really been good and shown people. People thought it was going to show all this, criminal stuff, and it's the opposite.
Yeah. So, you had touched on something earlier. No matter what your political affiliation is, I challenge you to prove me wrong. George Soros figured out he can't get anything done by putting millions and millions of dollars into national campaigns. He figured out I can't get the laws changed by putting in my own people in Congress and the Senate. I'll put in my own DAs in all these big cities.
Exactly.
And we just won't enforce the law. I don't have to change it. We just won't enforce it.
Yeah.
Now, this is complete unsubstantiated information, what I'm about to say. But it was put out on the news. And supposedly the DA in Austin, Texas, has about 7,000 unanswered felony cases right now. Now, let's say it's not 7,000. Let's say it's 5,000.
Still.
Let's say it's 50.
Yeah.
So they have a really interesting way. You're talking about the infiltration.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing about the line troops, the guys in the trenches that are working patrol districts, driving a patrol car, you don't have a lot of infiltration there because to get there, the hiring process is so difficult. The standards where they are, passing a polygraph, passing a drug test, and then going through a very grueling 9 to 12 month law enforcement program. Those people that are very opinionated but don't have the resilience to go through something like that aren't going to make it.
Right.
And if they do make it on the street, there is a culture that comes with law enforcement. And I'm not talking about the thin blue line, we're going to cover our mistakes. That has happened, but that is not the norm.
Yeah.
Once they get out there, they're going to stick out like a sore thumb because they don't fit in with the culture. Now, there's ideas that I'm going to come in there and I am going to change the culture and make the police woke. Well, police will call you on your woke fallacies. It's not true.
Yeah,
what you're saying is not true.
Yeah, it's as simple as that.
Now, there's great woke ideas, right? I mean, the idea of in the 1960s, at the local law enforcement agency, there wasn't any blacks at all, any African Americans at all, any Hispanics at all, no Latinos at all in particular organizations, law enforcement organizations. The woke idea of that's wrong and we need to have a matching of our society there. That's a good woke idea. It's not really woke, but they adopted that. It's like, yeah, we need diversity in our organization.
Yeah, that's community. You
I
don't have
agree.
community without it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Now you have to meet the qualifications.
Yeah.
And people say, well, if you lower the qualifications, what does that do? Well, that's what we've done.
Yes.
We've lowered our qualifications
Yes.
way down now.
Yeah.
And I know this, that is a fact. I was a director of training.
Yeah.
To get people hired in the last couple of years, we had to drop our standards.
Yeah, I've talked to other guys who do training and hiring, and they've said the same thing.
But I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
But what do you do?
Yeah, you need the force. You need the people on the force.
But do you need people on the force that are going to be internal affairs investigations 2 or 3 years down the road because they don't fit in with the culture? And what I mean by the culture, following the rules, following goals, following objectives, doing what's right.
Yeah.
And doing your best.
Yeah.
And if you do something wrong, well, we fix that. But if you're actually going in, like you said, infiltrating and trying to create some sort of, trying to stir stuff up to go against what law enforcement culture is, you don't want that. No. It's like the people that blame the flag. They look at the flag and they go, that's a representative of slavery. Okay. If you look at the flag and you look at the Constitution and you look at the amendments, what has happened is flawed men violated those things. Yeah. Those things are still ideal.
Absolutely.
Flawed men failed to follow those things. Yeah. Those things are not bad. People are looking at the United States flag as it's something bad, as opposed to it's something that we should all aspire to be like.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what we should be trying for.
I know it's gotten all flipped around. I mean, yep. What you were saying. We're living
in the upside down.
We are so living in this upside down world. I feel like we are living in an insane asylum that's run by psychopaths. And we are. I mean, it is run by psychopaths and narcissists, and that is the problem. They've found their way to the top, and they've infiltrated down into the bottom. But regarding that infiltration, yes, it's Soros and his DAs. And what I was wondering when I thought about from the point of view of the cops and how that affects the force is, you see in certain cities, footage of a crime being committed and the police allow it. They just stand back and allow it because that's what they've been obviously instructed to do. I don't know what's going on in their mind, if they're just going, well, I'm just following orders, or hey, this is kind of fun, I get to watch this, or I wish it wasn't this way, or I wonder how long I can hold this job. I don't know what's going on in their minds when they're watching something like that go down, and they're just what is that?
So all of the above. It depends on what cop it is. Yeah. I think most of them sit back and are frustrated with their chain of command. The funny thing is this is primarily a Democratic.
Oh yeah.
What I was going to say is it's a Democratic behavior of, we don't want to endanger people's safety to protect property. That's what God created insurance for. That's what they're thinking.
Right.
And that's not. Don't catch people's cars on fire, and I won't use up to deadly force to stop you.
Right.
But at this point, because of because of the way that DAs are indicting police officers, because the way that um, the Department of Justice and other organizations view use of force, it has changed. After the riots, it changed. And it affects us all except for the people that are doing it. Because the people that are doing it probably don't own property. They don't own a home. A lot of them don't own houses. And
Yeah.
they're tearing everybody else's stuff up.
Yeah.
And our insurance is going up because the politicians are doing this.
Yes.
They're the ones that are doing it all. It's not the cops.
No. I mean,
you can't even really blame George Soros for making the attempt at being such a lunatic.
well, he's
It's
a
the
puppet
politicians.
too.
The politicians are agreeing, taking the money and agreeing to this.
Yeah.
And it's funny because so many people that don't understand our system, which the Department of Education has done a great job of deluding the children to not understand our Constitution, not understand
They
our
don't teach
political
it.
system.
Yeah,
No.
they don't teach it at all.
And you sit there and you look at what's happening, and it's like, oh, all right, well, I guess that's what we do. But when you have so many people rioting, so many people, there's peaceful protesters out there, there's plenty, but there were also rioters amongst those, and that's just like the jihadist in the group of 50 women and children, and he's hiding there.
Yes.
Well, that's what these anarchists have done in these riots. And the good thing is our intel is getting better and better all the time. And as that goes, it's going to get real weird, the amount of information that will be coming out, because, like a lot of these people, they drove their car someplace close, parked it, then went and did the protest and rioted. Well, they have to go back to their car. When you have drones and all kinds of stuff flying all over the place, we're going to know who's going back to the car, who was part of what.
Yeah.
And good luck with your little balaclava you have on that doesn't show your face, your little masks that you have on. You still have a license plate on your car.
Yes. You still got to get out of here somehow. Well, and with the infiltration over the borders, also those guys all have cell phones, and the tracking that our intelligence services is able to do at this point is way beyond, I think, probably what people realize. So local law enforcement becomes part of a martial law effort somehow, but like you were saying, you can't get a bunch of people to go and stop a riot or a protest. What can you do? I guess you have to let it play out.
So for Central Texas, we don't have enough cops to do any kind of martial law. It's not going to happen.
Well, it has to be National Guard. It has to be military, right?
Yeah, and how many National Guard? Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah. So what they're going to do is they're going to go and harden whatever the infrastructure is. They're going to protect communications. They're going to protect electrical lines. They're going to protect water sources. They're going to protect government buildings.
Yeah.
They're going to most likely, because they still have to run a jail, remember? So they're going to figure out all the people that aren't in on an aggravated case, and they're going to let go all of those people out of the jails.
Yeah.
That aren't in an aggravated felony case. They're going to minimize the jails. They're going to reassign jailers to do infrastructure protection, asset protection. And there will be small groups, street response groups of 10 or 20 cops that will respond to locations. But when there's 100,000 people rioting, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, really, seriously. And then from the point of view of the citizen caught up in or near something like that that's affecting their property or their persons, then it's up to us to protect ourselves, right? And so I know some cops don't like the idea of like neighborhood watch groups, and some do. I guess it depends on the people involved and how competent they are and what's going on there. What are your thoughts about that, about us defending ourselves? I mean,
Well, that's what we'd have to do,
that's we'd
right?
have to do. Yeah.
That as far as neighborhood watches are better to have than not to have.
Hmm.
There's a lot of drama that goes on with that. There's a lot of political wrangling within the neighborhood. Somebody always wants to be in charge, and is all
Yeah.
the, just all the manipulation.
Yeah.
But it's better to have that network of people than
Hmm.
to not have it.
Yes, I think the
So you got to
network
take the
is the
you got to
key.
take the
That
good with the bad, right?
Yeah, right, right. And the network is really key.
Yeah. Well, we're not like Connecticut or some of those upper uh, um, New England states where you have a duty to retreat. It's like these people like, yes, you shouldn't have to shoot somebody just because they're trying to steal your silver out of your house. Huh?
Yeah.
And
I,
so, but there, it's
well, that's part of the private property sort of no such thing as private property according to Marxism kind of you're
sure,
getting into that at that point. I
yeah,
think you're getting into a lot of brainwashing and guilt tripping that's been
yeah.
going. Speaking to a Catholic, post-Catholic, there's been a lot of that to control. I think guilt has been a huge method that's been used to control behavior of that sort because you're talking about the live free or die state. You're talking about, Massachusetts, where it all began, the shot heard around the world and everything. Well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
And the
Mm-mm.
reason I think for that is really that's also where public education was pushed really hard and started was Massachusetts. It's the seat of education, and that's indoctrination camp
It is.
anymore.
When I got my master's in education, that was part of my thesis, was the fallacy of the Department of Education.
Oh,
They are
yeah.
possibly the most powerful, most destructive organization in the federal government.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And
Yep.
there was
Horrible people.
never, if you look at our Constitution, and folks, I would really recommend that you do that, at least read the Bill of Rights. But, the way the government was structured, there was no Department of Education. It's not up to the government to educate you.
It's
You
all
don't
about
want them
money.
to. Yeah, it's
It's
about
all
money
about
and
money.
control.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, we could go on and on about that, but well, I know I've kept you for quite a while, but there's so much to talk about, and you have such a breadth and depth of experience, and I'm really interested in more of it. I'm hoping that we could talk again about well, I'm going to point people to your books, and there may be a time we could get together and talk about those in greater
Sure.
depth, okay? And maybe your military experience. I really feel that people respect the military a lot and they go, "Yay, we thank our troops," but really don't know what goes on and don't know what people go through to do that, wartime or not. So maybe we can explore some of those subjects at some point
Any
soon.
anytime.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, is there anything I am going to put up all the links to your books on
Okay.
Amazon? Is there anything that you wanted to let people know about, though, before we sign off regarding what you're up to, your latest book?
Yeah, latest book is Messages from Mothman. I take that back. Zombie Economics.
Ooh,
Yeah. So it's just how
ooh.
to make money off of zombies. Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't have anything better to do.
okay.
It's like, all right, so if the zombie apocalypse happens, how are we going to make money off these people? And so yeah, Zombie
Oh, that's
Economics
a
will be coming out
really,
shortly.
okay, that's a really interesting question.
Yeah. I
And
have
are
a
they people, by the way?
oh yeah, it's they haven't gone through probate. They're American citizens. They're covered under Americans with Disabilities Act,
Okay.
right? I mean, there's nobody more disabled than a freaking zombie.
I guess so. So we
Yeah.
get to pay for that.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
That
So
and Ukraine. Awesome.
oh, it's great. Yeah, it's great. We have
Sorry.
but we're the most powerful country in the world. We have plenty of money.
That illusion is dying, but
Oh,
yeah. Anyway, okay, so
this weekend, actually, Lynn, my wife, and I are going to be going to Tombstone, Arizona. I'm hosting the second annual Tombstone Wild West Paracon with Amy Bruni and Aaron Sagers, and Shane Pittman is going to be there from the Holzer Files, and Amy Bruni from Kindred Spirits, and Richard Estep from a whole bunch of different TV shows. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's
Oh,
going to
that
be
sounds fun. Tombstone's
Friday,
cool.
Saturday, and Sunday. You have just nothing but ghost hunting and finding spirits at the different bars, if you know what I mean.
I do.
Spirits.
Yeah, spirits.
So it's a good time. It's a good time. Most of most of it's sold out. All the packages are sold out. But
I bet.
yeah, it's a really good time.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's what I got going this weekend. So.
okay. So, folks, I'm going to get you some more information about Greg. It's been really fun. We'll have him back soon because there's so much more to think about, talk about, and learn from. So, thank you for being with us, Greg.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, that was the paranormal detective Greg Lawson on Good Cop, Good Cop. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, go ahead and comment if you dare, pass it on, and thanks for being with us.